In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a Getting Things Done system inside of Notion. A GTD system is a way for you to process every piece of information that you come across as either actionable or non-actionable items that turns into tasks, projects, notes, ideas, or references. This GTD system that I'll be building in this video will be linked in the description below in case you just want to save yourself some time and get this template for yourself. And this GTD system is now also integrated into the LifeOS dashboard. So if you bought the LifeOS dashboard in the past, then just check your email for the updated template link. Otherwise, be sure to watch the next video to learn how to integrate a GTD system into your own life management system. And with that out of the way, let's get started. So this is the system that we're going to be building in this video. And to just give you a quick overview of how it works, here you have your inbox. So this is where you add every single piece of information. So I'm just going to do item 1. Let's just add another one. Let's do this item 2. And then from here, it's either an actionable or a non-actionable, meaning you can take action on this thing or not. So, okay, this one is actionable. This one is non-actionable. So you basically just take everything. So let's say you have a pile of sticky notes. You take all of these sticky notes and you just put them into this inbox and you throw all your sticky notes away, and that's it. Like, you don't think about it. You don't try and, okay, this is a task. This is something for later. You just put everything into the inbox. You don't have to think about it. And then from this inbox, you decide, okay, is this actionable or non-actionable? And then you just go through that process, and then it will filter everything to actionable or non-actionable. So now we're here. And then let's do the non-actionable first. So here for non-actionable, so this is stuff you can't take action on. Here you would select what type of non-actionable it is. Is it trash, references, or incubate? Meaning, is this something for later? So this is your someday maybe list. So something you might get to later. This is usually just ideas. And what I have in my personal GTD is I also have context. So why can't I do this thing yet? Why is it still just an idea and not something real? So you can give context to it, but I'll show that in the second part of this video, which is showing how to integrate this into your LifeOS dashboard. But basically here, you would select what type of non-actionable it is. So if I just add 2 more, so I'm just going to do 3, 4, and then this one, I'm going to say, okay, this is trash. This one is references. This one is incubate. So usually if it's not any of these, then it's just trash. Like, you can just remove it. So then you just, okay, from the inbox, actionable, yes or no, and then bam. Now you go to your non-actionables, which type it is, filter it out, and then bam. So it is this part over here. So trash, references, incubate. If it's trash, then you just delete it. References or incubate, you can give context to it. I'll show that later. But it's not in the actual GTD system, the context one. That's just something I personally added. But anyways, here on the actionables view, so here you will see all of your actionables. So let me just add another one here. Here you want to decide whether or not it is a single step or multiple steps. So that is this part. So is it a single step, aka a task? It just has a checkbox. It's either completed or it's not completed. That's a single step. If it's multiple steps, if there's multiple variables, multiple things, then that's a project. So that one is a single step. Let's make this one multiple steps. And then through automations, I've added it where it will move to these databases. So over here on the projects database, this is the projects inbox. So this item that we just had here, if I click on multiple step, it will remove it from this and it will add a new project. Unfortunately, you can't carry the name over. Like, that would have been ideal for the name of this item to just be here, but you would just add it in. So you just add in the name again, and then these are your projects. So this is a separate database. And here you would say, is this a priority? Yes or no. If it's yes, then it will move to this view, which will show a progress bar. So you can link your tasks to a project and it will show the progress bar. Otherwise, if it's not a priority, it will show in this view. So if I just change this one, then it will go here. And then this is your someday maybe list, your incubation list for your projects. And then when you're ready, when you want to do this project, you can just open this up and then just change the priority. So that's sort of how that works. And then here for tasks, this is the same database. So all of these are the same database. It's just filters and different properties that's being shown. So over here, we got the actionable that was a single step. So let's just do another one, item 1, 2, 3. make this single step, it will move over here to the task inbox. So this is now this part. So if it's multiple steps, go to projects. If it's single step, go to tasks. So we're now over here, and now we're gonna do the task section. So for this, it can split into 3 groups essentially. So do, decide, or delegate. So we can also link this to a project. So let's actually just quickly link both of these to project number 5, and then you'll see a progress bar. So for this, you want to select whether or not this is a 2-minute task. You can also change this to 5 minutes. In the actual GTD system, the actual framework, it is 2 minutes, but I make mine 5 minutes. So, okay, is this a 5-minute task? Yes. Is this a 5-minute task? No. And then it will move. So I will show you where it moves. Yeah, you can also see here. So it will show on do. If it's a 5-minute task, it will show here. So it will have today's date. As you can see here, it will automatically add today's date, and it will move to the do section. So this is all your daily tasks. Everything that you have to do today will show here. So it moves there. And if it's not a 5-minute task, so here, 5-minute task, yes or no, yes, it goes to do, add today's date, and then, yeah, you can open up Notion calendar and you can time block it. That's what this part is, so it will have today's date. Otherwise, if it's not a 5-minute task, if it's over here, then you want to ask, is this outsourceable? Yes or no? Yes, this is outsourceable. Then it moves. Let's just add another one. So I can show all 3 examples. No, this is not a 5-minute task. And no, it's not outsourceable. So once you've added those, then it moves along this pipeline essentially. So no, it's not outsourceable. Then you have to decide when you're going to do it. So, okay, it's not a 5-minute task and I can't outsource it. So I am going to do this tomorrow. And then it will obviously have tomorrow's date. And this one, which is outsourceable over here, yes, I can outsource it. Delegate, so you want to delegate this to someone. If you have a VA or someone on your workspace, you can add them. You can move this to their database through automations, all of these things. But here, let's just say, okay, I'm going to outsource this tomorrow, and by person, so you can add the person here. But essentially, you would outsource this, you would delegate these tasks, and then the decide ones, you would choose when you're going to do them. And over here, let's say we have another decide database entry. And if it's not a priority, if it's something for way down the road, something for later, then you can just click on this checkbox and it will move it to this view. So this is your someday maybe list. And then when you go through this, so every week you would review everything in your system. It's like, okay, I'm now ready to do this thing, uncheck it, and then you add a date. And then this will just show due soon. So everything that is upcoming after today. And also if I just move this here, it will show here as well. So this shows all of today's tasks. And obviously when you have Notion calendar, you can then just time block everything. So yeah, that's essentially how the system works. And if I mark these as complete, that is linked to project number 5, you'll see that the progress bar will update. And obviously when it's completed, it will disappear. And over here on the side, we got a navigation bar. So if I click on inbox, then it will just add a new item into the inbox. If I click on GTD system, it brings me to this home page. If I click on projects, it opens up just the projects. Same with the other ones. So do, decide, delegate, etc. And you can have different views for these here as well. Delegate. And then for incubation, so here you can have future projects, you can have future items. And for incubate and references, the idea is later on you would create a task out of it essentially. So let's say the idea becomes a task. You can then click on this and select task, and through automations, it will then move this to the task database. So if I now go back to the home page and go here, then it will create a task, which is this one. And then if you go to trash, then here is just everything that you should delete because it's trash. But you can also move it. So again, you can just move it to any of these databases. Otherwise, you can just delete it. And yeah, you don't have to if you don't want to. And then there's also a monthly view that just shows everything according to the created time property. So you're able to see when you've added and created everything. And then for the references, this is sort of bookmarks and URLs and links and notes and things you want to keep. And with all of these, you can link them to a folder. So I can link this to folder number 1, as you can see here. And if I open this, then it will show here. So it's essentially like a folder with some files inside, and I can click on this with all the references and everything inside. So that's what you can do for references. You can link them to folders. With Incubate, you can basically just move items, but you also have projects. So this can be future projects. And then the other ones is also on the home page. So yeah, that's essentially the GTD system inside of Notion. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to build this entire dashboard. And in the next one, I'm going to show you how to integrate this into your existing LifeOS dashboard. So let's head over to a blank page and start building. Let's go ahead and title this GTD system. Go ahead and give it an icon. So I'm going to choose this network icon because it makes sense. And let's go ahead and give our GTD system a cover. And if you want animated pixel covers like this, then you can just click the link in the description for my Pinterest board, which has a bunch of these covers. And as you can see here, this is the one that we're currently using. So you can just browse through these and use any of these covers. And yeah, also make sure to follow me on Pinterest as well. But anyways, let's get back to building the system. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this page into full width by clicking on the page menu in the top. And then I'm going to start by creating my first database. This one is going to be called GTD System. Here I'm going to delete this tag property. And if you've been following me for long enough, you already know I'm going to create a call out box. This is going to be called GTD System. We'll change it later, but for now I'm just going to keep it like this because this will eventually become the inbox. Actually, let me just change it now. So this will be the inbox. We will do the filters and the sorts and all of those things a bit later. But for now, let's just add this in and give this one a blue icon. So for this GTD system, the very first property is going to be a tag property, which is going to be called actionable. And here we're going to say whether it's yes or no. So this is going to be red, this is going to be green. And here we're going to add in whether or not it is actionable. So that would be this one. We're also going to give it an icon. So let's just give it that arrow icon. And yeah, that's the very first step of this GTD system, which is this part over here. So is it actionable or non-actionable? We got that, yes or no. And now for the next part, which is going to be for the actionables. So let's go ahead and create this one. This one is going to be steps. And here we're also going to add a steps icon. And this one is going to be either single step or multiple steps. And let's also just go ahead and change the color. So I'm going to make this one green, that one blue. And yeah, this will be for our actionable items. So single step or multiple step. And let's just add this one in for that as well. And also resize this. Now the next part is going to be for the non-actionables. But for that, we're going to require 3 different databases because that's going to be a relation. Though you can do it just with a tag property. But I quite like the relation because then you can do more with it. Now, before we move on to the non-actionables, let's first just create these different views. So for this inbox, here you want to filter this to where the actionable is empty. So if I add something in here, we can also hide this one. And here, item number 1, we can now decide, okay, is this actionable? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, it disappears. And let's also just remove the name by adding a space and also just add another icon in here. And yeah, that's pretty much the inbox part done. Now what we're going to do, we're going to click on this, copy the link, paste it in, link to view database. This one is going to be called clarify. And here we're going to add a filter icon. And then the call out box is going to be actionables. And we're going to drag and drop this inside. Highlight this, make it bold, underline it, change the color to green. And then for the icon, we're going to add a plus icon, which is also going to be green. And then here, you want to show the other property. So the steps, we're going to show that here. So this would be item 1. Let's also just change the filter. So here you want to change the filter to where it is actionable. So then all of these would show here. And here you will be able to select the different steps. And then for this view, because all of them are going to be actionable, we can also just go ahead and hide this actionable property. And now that we got this, we can move on and we're going to copy this link. We're going to paste this as a linked view. And here we're going to remove the name. This is going to be for our tasks. So this is going to be our tasks inbox. We're going to create a colored box. This is going to be tasks. And this is going to be bold, underlined, and the color is going to be green. And we're also just going to add this icon. Actually, this one is going to have a file icon because it is tasks. And then we're just going to drag and drop this inside. So for this tasks view, you want to filter this. So you want to add a filter to where the steps is single step. And then for this actionables view, you also want to add another filter to where the steps is empty. So now only the items that does not have single or multiple steps yet will show up here. So let's just change this one to multiple step. It will now disappear. We'll create the projects database after this, and then we'll move on to the non-actionables. But first, let's just create the tasks. So for this task inbox view, you want to filter this to where the steps is single step. And for this actionables one, you want to filter this to where the steps is empty. And then for this task view, because all of them are going to be single steps, we can then go ahead and hide this property. Now, before we move on, let's go ahead and create our second database, which is going to be for our projects. So let's go ahead and create a new database, which will be called projects, and then just delete the tag property, and also just add this inside of a callout box, which will be called projects. Hide the database title and make this bold, underline it, change the color to blue, and this is going to have a folder icon which is going to be blue. Yeah, now we have our projects database. So just to quickly recap, all three of these, it's the exact same database. It's just different properties and filters on each of these different views. And then this projects database is the second database. So what we're going to do is we're going to link projects with our task database, aka the inbox and the actionables as well. So let's go ahead and add a relation to this one. And this is then going to link to projects. We want to show it on both of them. Add relation. And here we can go ahead and give it an icon. And this one we can change to tasks and also give this one an icon. So now if I add an item in here, let's do item number 6. And this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I can link item number 6 to this project and it will show up here. So essentially where we are now is this section. So we've now done this. So this part of the GTD system is done. That's why it helps to map out everything like this. So you can see what you're doing and where you are. So we've now done this. Now let's do this task section, this entire part, and then we'll do the non-actionables. So let's move on with the tasks. So the next one is going to be this yes or no tag property for the 5-minute task. So let's go ahead and add that. So this one is 5-minute task. And here we have yes or we have no. And in case you're wondering why this is not the checkbox property, for example, because a checkbox is yes or no values, is because by default it would be no. So you can't really do much with it in terms of filters. So that's why we use a select property. Let me just select the red here. And yeah, so now we can select whether or not this is a 5-minute task. And let's also just give it an icon. So I'm going to select this clock icon. And yeah, let's say this one is a 5-minute task. Let's make that yes. Let's do this one no. And then let's add our second select property, which is going to be this part of the database. So is it outsourceable? Yes or no? So let's add that in, outsourceable. And this would have also yes or no values. And looks like outsourceable isn't spelled correctly. So let's just fix that. And let's also just change the color for these. This would be green, this one would be red. And for outsourceable, we're going to give it this person icon. And yeah, now we can add in these values. So let's say this is a 5-minute task, this one is not, and this one is not outsourceable. This one is not a 5-minute task, and this one is outsourceable. So now what we want to do is we want to create a formula that shows the next action so that we can also filter it. So this one is supposed to show do, this one decide, and this one delegate. So let's go ahead and create a new formula. This one will be called next action. So for this formula, we're going to start off with an ifs function and then just move the bracket over by clicking Shift Enter. And then we're going to say, if this is a 5-minute task, so if the 5-minute task select property is yes, then show the text do. Otherwise, if the outsourceable select property is yes, then show the text delegate. Otherwise, if the outsourceable select property is no, then we want to show the text decide. Otherwise, if it's none of these, then just show nothing. So that would just be 2 quotation marks. And now if I click on done, you'll see we have do, decide, delegate, and if I add another one, it will just show nothing. Now let's go ahead and style this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a style function to each of them, and we're going to make it bold, and we're also going to change the color. So this one is going to be red, and then we're just going to take this, we're going to copy the style function and then just paste this in. This is going to be purple for delegate, and it's going to be pink for decide. And then for do, we're going to add a flame emoji. For delegate, we're going to add this handshake emoji, and for decide, we're going to add this clock emoji. And then we can also just remove these empty spaces, click on done, and as you can see, this now looks a lot better. Let's also go ahead and give this an icon, and now we can go ahead and filter this task view to where the next action is empty. So let's say this item number 1, we say it is a single step, it goes in here. It is not a 5-minute task, but it is outsourceable, then it will disappear because it now has an action. Alright, now let's go ahead and add more properties to our tasks. So because it's a task, we're going to need a date property, so we can add a date to it. And we're also going to need a checkbox property, which is going to be for when the task is complete. And once we have this, we can go ahead and create another view, which is going to be a board view. And this board view is going to be also the GTD system, new board view. And then here, I'm going to just add a space, and I'm going to add an icon, which is going to be this file icon. You can also rename this. This is going to be for all of our tasks. And I'm going to hide the title. And then this view, I'm going to go into group, and I'm going to group this by the next action so that we'll be able to see all the tasks that are delegate, decide, and do. And then I'm also going to color the columns and go back into layout because I want to make the card size small like that. And inside of properties, I want to show the done checkbox property and also the project. So if it relates to a project, and yeah, here you can also click on this, go to percent, and then click on percentage checked. So now if I click on this one, you'll see that 50% of our delegated tasks is complete. And yeah, you now have a view that just shows everything. And then the next one we're going to add is going to be a list view. And this one again is going to be linked to the GTD system. This is going to be for our completed tasks. So I am going to add in this checkbox. And then here you want to filter this to where the done checkbox is checked. And we're also going to group this according to the next action so that you'll be able to see everything grouped according to this. And yeah, it's not necessary to do a calculation here because yeah, it's going to show all the checked checkboxes. So if I go ahead and check these, then you'll see that they will show up here as well under their groups. I'm also actually just going to rename this and just remove the name to sort of just match these as well. And then for this inbox view, we can go ahead and hide the date property and also hide the checkbox property because we'll be doing that on the other views. We can also hide the action one. And yeah, we only want to see these because as soon as we're done with this, it will disappear from this view. So yeah, once you have this, so now we got our tasks view. It goes from inbox to actionables to tasks. We can link it to projects. And what we're now going to do is create the different views for do, decide, and delegate. So for projects over here, let's just for now move this to the side here. We'll do that a little bit later. Let's go here and move on to the other views. So let's go ahead and copy this link, paste it in, link to database, and then here we're going to just add a call it box, which will be called do, and then just drag and drop this inside, double tap, bold, underline, and change the color to red. This is going to have a flame icon, even though this still does not look like a flame, but anyways, we're going to add that in. And then we're just going to repeat this 2 more times and then just do one for decide and delegate as well. Alright, so now that these are created, what we can now go ahead and do is we can hide these 3 properties because by the time they're here, these would have already been filled out. So we can go ahead and hide these, and then we're going to filter this. And then for do, we're going to remove this next action filter, and we're going to go here and we're actually going to put everything under an advanced filter. So where the actionable is yes, where the single step, or where the steps is single step, and also where the 5-minute task is yes. So now that we have those, we can go ahead and delete this one. Everything is under one filter, and this will now show only the do items. So if I show the next action, then you'll see that it shows do. Now let's go ahead and do the same for the other ones. So it's going to be the exact same process for all of them, but except you would just change the relevant select properties. So this one is going to be single step. This one is going to be where the 5-minute task is no, and where the action and where the outsourceable is yes. And then you just add that in. You can go ahead and delete these. And now this one should show the delegate options. If I go ahead and just show this on the view as well, there you go. And then, yeah, you just do this for the side as well. All right, so now that these are filtered correctly, so if we start here at the top, we add item number 4, and this is actionable, goes here. This is a single step, it goes here. It is linked to this project. It is not a 5-minute task, it is outsourceable. Then as you can see, it will move to delegate. All right, so for all the do items, what we want is we want to add today's date to them. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an automation. This is only if you're on the plus plan. So here for the automation, we're going to add this. So the trigger is going to be where the 5-minute task is yes. And then the action is going to be to change the date property to today. And then we're going to just rename this. So this is do items, and click on create. And now if we, let's do 1, 2, 3, if we add in yes for 5-minute task, that will also now have today's date. So let's just show the date property. It should now have today's date as well. There you go. As you can see, it just took a while, but it has today's date. And then what we can now do is just copy this view and then also just paste it here at the bottom in order to change the layout to a calendar view. And then we have our calendar view. We can also just go ahead and add this inside of a callout box. This will be calendar. Drag and drop this inside. Double click and then just make it bold, underline it. Let's change the text color to blue. And then let's also give it a calendar icon, and also change this icon to a calendar icon, and then go inside of properties. And then here we want to show the next action, and we also want to show the done checkbox property as well as the project. And if it shows like this, where there's like a gap, all you want to do is just go inside of properties again, click on name, and then just untoggle wrap in view. All right, now we got our calendar. Let's go ahead and change do. So here we're not going to add anything else. Like for delegate, we want to select the person that we're going to delegate it to. And for decide, we want to add a date to it. But for do, it's already going to have a date. There's nothing more that we want to add here. So we're going to change this to a gallery view. We're going to change the card preview to none, change the card size to small. And on this view, we're going to show the done checkbox property. We're going to show the action, and we're also going to show the project. And here we're also just going to change the icon. So I'm just going to use this click icon. And here for this one, you actually don't want the filter to just show the do items. You actually want to change this to where it is going to be the date. So where the date is today. So that's going to be the filter, because when we add 5-minute task, like when this is yes, then it will automatically have today's date, which will then make it show up on this view. But then it will also allow the other ones to show up on this view as well. And this would be all the items that you have to do today. All right, now that do is complete, let's move on to delegate and decide. And for both of these, we want to show the date property because they're not going to automatically have today's date. So we want to choose when we're going to do them. And then for delegate, we're going to add an extra property, which is going to be the person property, so that we can assign someone to this if that's relevant for you. So yeah, here you can then select a specific person, and you can also add the date to all of these. So basically what we want here is as soon as the person has been selected, it should disappear from this view. So we're going to add another rule to where the person property is empty, or maybe if you don't delegate it to someone that's in your workspace, maybe you just make this a checkbox property. So when you check the checkbox, it has been delegated, so then it will remove from this view. And then for the site, you want to add a filter where the date property is empty. So just select is empty, because then you've decided when you're going to do it, and then it should disappear from the inbox view. So if I go ahead and process all of these, okay, let's add a date for these, and then add a person, or if it's going to be a checkbox, then it's going to be a checkbox, and then this will disappear. You've processed these. And then same for these ones. Okay, I'm going to do it on Sunday. I've processed this, so it should disappear. And then everything should show up on the calendar view. If it's not, it's most likely because there's a filter. So let's just go ahead and remove these. And there you go. Now you'll see all of your tasks on your calendar view. Now for both of these, we're going to add more views. So let's just go ahead and duplicate this one, change this to a board view. And then here, I'm going to say by person. So I want to group this by the person. Let's just also add a person icon. And then here we're going to go inside of group. We're going to group this by the person property and color the columns. And then also go and change the card size to small, as well as show the done checkbox property and also the date property. So if I open up this and I add this to a person, so let's say I select myself, and because we've duplicated the other one, this is still filtered. So let's just go ahead and remove this person filter. And as you can see, it will now show the person as well as the tasks. And I can also go here and change this to percentage checked. And yeah, it will now show all of the tasks for each of the people that you delegate your tasks to. And what you can do is you can also hide this group so it doesn't show anything if there's no person added. And in case you do want to add a checkbox, you can just add a checkbox here, and this can be delegated. And let's just add another person icon. So let's get the check mark 1. So let's do this and just collapse this all the way, put it in the front, and then here you can change this. So I'm going to change this filter. I'm going to change this from the person property to the checkbox, and where the checkbox is unchecked. So I've delegated this one, I've delegated this one, so those would disappear. So yeah, that's how you would do it with the checkbox. And also for this view, we don't need to see the action, so we can just go ahead and hide that and collapse this. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the delegate view. And now for the decide view, if I add another database entry here, also hide this next action. Here, if we add a date property, then it will disappear from this view. And what we also want to do is we want to add a checkbox, which is for our someday maybe list. So let's just add incubate here, and then just add an icon. So I'm just going to use this icon, collapse this, and then also just put it in the front. And then here, filter this to where that checkbox is also unchecked. So let's go ahead and add that checkbox, unchecked. And now I can either add in a date, so I schedule it, or it's something for later. I'm not going to add a date yet. Then I just click this checkbox and it will also disappear. Now what I want to do is I want to just duplicate this view, and this one I'm going to change to the same icon and just filter this. So this filter is going to just be flipped. So this is only showing everything that is checked. So all of the checked ones will show there. And again, if it gets a date, then it will also disappear. So I can just add a date. Or if it doesn't have a date and I uncheck this checkbox, then it will move back to this view. And then the last one I'm going to add here, so I'm just going to duplicate this again, is going to be a view for due soon. And then here I'm just going to add a calendar icon, and I'm going to filter this. I'm going to remove this one, and I'm going to filter this to where the date is, and then relative to today, and this week. Or you can do is after today, however you want to do it, and this will show everything that is due soon. And I'm also going to change this layout to a list view, and then I'm going to show the done checkbox property, I'm going to show the project, and I'm also going to show the date property. So now when you get a new item inside of your inbox, your decide inbox, you decide when you're going to do it, or if it's something for later, you just move it to the someday maybe list. And then from here you can process it or just move it back, and you'll also be able to see everything that's upcoming. Same with the delegate, you have these views, and the do, you have them as well, and everything will show on the calendar. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the actionable side of this GTD system. Alright, so before we move on to the projects and the non-actionables, let's just go ahead and change the layout. So I'm going to create a multi-column layout, so 2 columns, and then inside of the second one, I'm going to create another 2-column layout. So now we got 3 essentially, but it's not 3 columns. It is essentially 2, but in this one we just have 2. So basically the reason for that is I want to add another one like this. So if I highlight this, you'll see that we got 2 blocks here, 1 block here, and we can press enter here. And then this one also just has 1. So on this side, we will have our navigation bar. So I'm going to add a call-out box. This will be called navigation. And then let's just go ahead and resize this. And then on the side, we're also going to add our do view. So we're going to add that in. Let's just drag and drop this empty block there. Here we're going to add our inbox, and then we're also going to add our projects. So that is why I created 2 columns here. And then inside of this one, we can have another multi-column layout. So let's do 2 columns here, and this will be actionables. The reason for doing it this way is because otherwise this will be under this view and this one will be under this view, and they won't be even if we add the non-actionables. So let's actually just create this callout box. So non-actionables, highlight this, make this bold, underline it, change the color to red, and this one would have a minus icon, which would be red. And then this navigation, let's also just do this one while we're at it. Bold, underlined, change the color to orange, and then also add an icon, which would be a button icon, also orange. And then what we're going to do is under another empty block here, we're going to add our tasks like that. And then underneath this, we're going to add the side. Actually, we're first going to create another 2-column layout, and then we're going to add the side and then also delegate next to it. And then as you can see here, we got our calendar at the bottom. We can also go ahead and delete these. Let's delete these empty ones and delete this one, delete some of these empty blocks. And yeah, now we got our multi-column layout. So for our projects inbox, what we're going to do is we're going to just hide this property, and then we're going to add a tag property, which will be called priority. And this one is going to be yes or no. And then let's just also make this green, move this to the top. And then this one would have a different icon. So I'm going to just do this one. And then let's just close out of that, shrink this down. And then we would rename this to inbox, or just actually remove the name and then just add an icon. And we would filter this view to where the priority is empty. And then we would essentially just duplicate this. And let's say this is for the active projects. Here we would then add a folder icon, and this one would be filtered to where the priority is yes. And let's just go ahead and duplicate this again. And this one would have this box icon, and this would be for where the priority is no. And then for both of these, we can hide the priority. And then what we also want to do, if I just open up this database entry, we want to add a progress bar. So currently this projects is linked to tasks, so I can relate them. Let's actually just choose the one that already has one related. So let's open this one, click on tasks, show as page section, and then here you can show the done checkbox property, move it to the top, as well as the date property, so you can see the tasks that relate to this project. And then what you want to do is create a progress bar. So we're going to add a roll up. This is going to be called progress bar. And here we're going to select the task relation. We're going to choose to use the done checkbox property, and the calculation is going to be percentage checked. And because there's now a percentage, we can now select progress bar or progress ring. I'm going to select progress bar, change this to blue, and we can now show that on these views. But for both of these, we don't want a table view. We want to see it in a gallery view. Change the card preview to none, change the card size to small, and then just show the progress bar. So we're going to show that on the view. Do the same for this one. So change the layout to a gallery view, card preview to none, card size to small, and then just show the progress bar on this view as well. So now if I go to this view and I click on yes, then it will move to this one. And I can also move this to no, and it will show here as well. And there you go. That's pretty much the entire actionable side. The only thing that you want to do now is create template buttons for all of the databases, which is actually just 2 databases. You want to create new template, so click the drop down next to new, click on new template, add an icon. So this one I'm going to use just a blue folder icon, and then you just want to set this one as default. So when you create a new database entry, it will then add the icon. And what we also have to do for this actionables view is create another automation. So where the steps is multiple steps, if the steps is multiple steps, then we want to add a page 2 and then our projects database, and then we want to use this template button, and we don't want to add any of these, and just add an icon. So this one would just be multiple steps, and click on create. So now if I go ahead and add another database entry here and select multiple steps, it will now create a new database entry inside of projects. So yeah, you basically just want to add a default template button, so everything just has icons. Same for these. So for inbox, I'm going to create a new template, add icon. This one I'm just going to make a circle icon. So let's do this. And yeah, when you create a new database entry after setting it as default like that, then it will automatically add that icon, and yeah, everything will just look a lot nicer. You can also add one for the tasks. So if you create a new item that is specifically just for the tasks, if you create it in that view, then you can add a different icon for that one. So let's just set this one as default, add a new task, and you'll see that it now adds the icon automatically. Alright, so now what we're going to do is at the bottom of this dashboard, we're going to create a new database. This is going to be a gallery view, and we're going to just create a new gallery view. This one is going to be called actionables, and we're going to hide the database title. And then inside of this, we're also just going to go to layout, change the card preview to none, change the card size to small, and then this you want to rename to each of the different sections. So we would have projects. Projects would be one. I'm just going to delete this, delete these. I still don't know why they keep adding default properties. Anyways, that would be projects. This one would be for do. This one would be for delegate. And then the last one would be for decide. And then we want to do the same for the non-actionables. So let's just go ahead and create another gallery view. Create new database. This one is going to be non-actionables. And the reason we're doing it this way is so we can click on the pages when we create the navigation bar. So let's just rename this to Incubate. This one would be references. And then the last one would be trash. And let's also just change the gallery view. So change the card preview to none, change the card size to small. And yeah, now we got our different pages that we would open when we click the navigation bar. And then also just make sure that you click on each of them and just add an icon for all of them. Now that I've added icons for all of them, what I'm going to do is create another toggle, which is going to be called backend. And then I'm going to click on this, turn into page, just drag and drop it inside, turn into page, drag and drop it inside, and then just give icons for these as well. So let's just go ahead and give this plus icon. And then for this one, let's go and give this a minus icon. All right, now that we got the different pages for our navigation bar and the 3 non-actionables, we can go here and we can just copy this link and then paste it into non-actionables. And then here we would just filter this to where actionable is no. And then we would also just hide the steps property. And then here we would add a relation, which will be to our non-actionables database, show it on the database, add relation, and then here we would just add an icon. So let's just select this minus icon. And yeah, if I go to my inbox and I change these to non-actionable, then they'll show up here and I can now relate them. So let's just also go inside of the filter. And then here, what you want to do is just add another filter to where the relation, so let's just find the non-actionables relation, where the relation property is empty. So if I add this to incubate, add this to references, and this one to trash, then they will all disappear from this view. And if you want to find them, then you can just go to your non-actionables database. And if you open up one of these, then you'll see it here as a relation. You can click on show as page section, but we're going to do more inside of each of these pages. So you have different views that you can see them in. But yeah, that's essentially where the item goes is because it's linked to these database entries. Alright, so let's start with creating the buttons. So the first button is going to be for the inbox, and this is going to be this icon, the same one as the inbox. And this one is going to add a page to the GTD system, and we're going to use this template button for that icon. And yeah, nothing else we would add, though we would add another step, which is to open the page and then the new page that's been created as a side peek view. So you can add the information inside. So if I click on this, it will create a new database entry and open up that page in a side peek view. Next is going to be to open up this page. So we're going to go ahead and create a new button, which will be called GTD System. You can also call it Home if you want to. I'm just going to call it GTD System. And here I'm going to add in this icon, open page, and then we want to select this GTD System, this page, full page. So if I click on this button, nothing will happen because I am in this page, but we're going to sync this across all of the pages. And then when you're in another page, you can just quickly click on this button to bring you back to the home page. And then next we're going to add buttons for all 7 of these database entries. So projects, do, decide, and delegate, and then also incubate, references, and trash. So go ahead and create 7 different buttons and then just name them and give them icons. So now that you have all of your buttons, all you want to do is you just want to add an action so that when you click the button, it opens up this database entry. So if I click on projects, it opens up this. If I click on do, it opens up this. So you just want to make that all of these buttons opens up those database entries. So just edit your button, click add action, open page, and then just search for your database entry, and then just select that database entry. Make sure to make it show up in a full page, and then if you click on the button, it will then open up that database entry. And then you just repeat this process for all of the other buttons as well. Alright, so now that you have your navigation bar, what you want to do is you want to click on the block menu, turn into and then synced block, so that this callout box is now a synced block, and then you want to copy and sync. And then what you want to do is you want to go inside of all of these pages. So let's go to projects, and then here you want to just change it to a full page, and then just add in 2 columns, paste in the synced block, the navigation bar, and then just resize it, and then just do that for all of them. So turn this into a full page, add in 2 columns, paste in the navigation bar, resize it, and yeah, just do this for all of them. And now once that's done, you can now just click through each of these pages. So if I click on the button for each of them, then it should change to the relevant page. And if I click on GTD System, then it will take me back to the home page. So next what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of each of these pages and then add the extra databases, starting with the projects. So we're going to click on this view, and then we're going to copy the link. We're going to go to projects. And then here we're going to create another callout box and just call this projects, and then just add in the link to your database, and then just change this. So make it bold, underline it, change the text color, add an icon. I can't even count how many times I've said this in all of my videos. But yeah, I got the callout box and then the projects view, and you can always add more views if you want. So here you can sort of be creative and just add whatever you want. Maybe you have notes on projects, maybe you have different things, more databases, like whatever it is inside of this projects bucket. You can just add whatever you want here. I'm just going to do the default ones inside of all of them, but the idea is that you add more. So for example, with do, so we're going to go to our do database, and then we're just going to copy this linked view, go back to do, and then same thing here, callout box, just call this do. We can change this as well. Let's call it do it, and then just make it bold, underline it, change the text color, give it this flame icon, and then we would just paste this in. And we can also change this. So let's change this to a layout view. So yeah, you can just change these views. You can do with it what you want. And yeah, you would basically just go inside of all of them and then just copy all of the linked views and just add them in, and then you can add more information to them. So for delegate, decide, and do, so the actionables, I've basically just copied the same databases that's on the home page, added them in here. So as you can see, just added them in. And now for incubate, references, and trash, we're going to do things a bit differently. So you want to go to your home page, you can actually just click on that button, copy this inbox link, go to Incubate, and here we would have Incubate, or you can change this to someday maybe, and then just paste in the link to view. And then here what you want to do is you want to hide the actionable property, and we're going to create a new one, which is to move the database entry. So let's just first add this in, and then also just give this one an icon. And you can also rename this, so mine is actually tickler file. So if you've read the GTD book, then he talks about a tickler file. So it's like over time, everything dripping into this and dripping out. So yeah, we have this, our someday maybe list. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a select property, which is move. And this one is going to be this icon. And then here we're going to add in Incubate, we're going to add in references, we're going to add in trash, and we're also going to add in task. Then you can just go ahead and color code these. So let's just change the color so that it matches. And then what you're going to do is here for all of these. So this is all the same database. So if I open this, then you'll see that we got the steps here, we got the done checkbox property, the action items. So these are all the same. So for this one, it's pretty easy because all you have to do is just change some of the properties. It's not adding a new database entry into a different database. So here for automations, what you want to do is create a new automation. The trigger is going to be where the move property. If we change this to task, then the action is going to be to change the actionable to yes, and then also to change the steps to single step, because then it would be a task. So here, let's do move to task and then click on create. Now before we go ahead and move anything, let's just also change the filter. So we're going to remove this and we're going to filter it to where the non-actionables is Incubate. So yeah, all the items that has Incubate as the non-actionable will show up here. And if we change this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as you can see here, it shows up here as well. You can always just show this as minimal if you want to, or you can still show it. Now also before we go ahead and move this, I think I also forgot to just add another step inside of the automation. So it changes the actionable to yes, steps to single step. But what you also want to do is remove the relations. So you want to click on remove, and then you want to remove all three of them, because if it's a task, then it's not going to be any of these non-actionables, which will then work with this filter. So if I select task here for move, then it will remove the relation to Incubate, which is over here. And then it will add yes for the actionable, single step for the steps, and then it will now show up here inside of the task view. Now what you can also do for Incubate is you can take this projects view, because this is essentially also projects that you're not immediately going to start with. So these would be future projects. So let's just create another one, future projects. So you can add this one as well. And we can also just highlight this, make this bold, underline it, change the text color to blue, and add an icon, which would be blue as well. And yeah, here you now have all of the items and projects that are for later. And then once it gets turned into a task, you just click this button and then it will turn into a task. And then for the other ones, all you want to do is also just create more automations. So let's create another one. This will be move to references. And then for this trigger, it would be if the move property is references, then what we want to do is we want to change the non-actionables relation. We want to replace it with references, and then just click on create. And now let's do 5, 6 or something, move this to references, then it should disappear here, and it should now be inside of references. So if I click on this, then you'll see it over here. And yeah, we essentially want to do that for the other two as well. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this, edit this one. This one is move to Incubate, and then here, when the move is set to Incubate, then we want to change this. So we want to replace it with Incubate. Click on done, click on save, and then just do this one more time. So let's change this one, move to trash, and then same thing, this would be trash, and then this would also be trash, and then just click on save. And now if we add more, so if we add more database entries here, so let's do 8, let's do 9, and then we move this to references, we move this to trash, it will disappear here. I'm also just going to click on these and make them show as minimal, because we're going to have these views to work with. And if I now go to references and click on this, then you'll see that 8 shows up here. If I go to trash, then you'll see that it shows up here, and I can open up this, and let's remove this and then move it to Incubate. If I move it to Incubate, then you'll see that this will now swap to Incubate. So I can go to this one, and you'll see that that one shows up here. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this link, go to references, and then here we're going to create a callout box. This is going to be files, and we're going to paste this in. And then here, it's sort of going to be the same thing. So let's just go ahead and give these colors and also an icon. And this one is going to have a file icon. So let's do this one. And then here we're just going to change the filter to where the filter is references. And then we're going to create another database. So this database is going to be table database, and it is going to be called folders. We're going to delete the tag property. We're going to create a callout box, which is going to be called folders. Hide this, and then just drag and drop it inside. Make it bold, underline it, change the text color, and also give this one an icon. So this one can have a folder icon. And then here we just want to add a relation, which will be a relation to the folders database. Show it on the folders, add a relation, and then just give it an icon. And then also go here and rename this to files and give this one an icon as well. So here what I'm going to do is just reorder this. And then here I'm going to change the folders database to a gallery view. Change the card preview to none. Change the card size to small. And then I'm going to remove the name and then add a different icon. And then what I'm going to do is just create a new template button and give this one an icon. So this one is going to have a yellow folder icon. Let's actually change it to this one, and then just set this as default. And then we're just going to delete these, add a new one, and now we can go ahead and relate these. So I'm just going to select this untitled folder, just relate all three of these. And then I'm going to go inside of this folder. Let's just add a name. And then here for files, just click on this, show as page section. And then here you can show other properties as well. Maybe you want to show the done checkbox property, because that's something we can also do, is we can just add the done checkbox property here and then filter this database where the done checkbox property is unchecked. And we can do the same for Incubate, so that let's say you want to just get rid of one of these, then you can just select the done checkbox property, mark it as complete, and then it will just disappear from this view. So it is unchecked like that. Let's go back here. And then now if you click on this folder, it will show all of the files that's inside. And what you can also do is create a new view. So I'm just going to duplicate this one, change the layout to a board view, and then you can group this according to the folders. So let's find the folders, which would be this one, color the columns, and then we want to go to layout, change the card size to small, and then here you'll be able to see all of your folders and then all the files that's inside. And then you can also change this icon, so I can give it this folder icon. And yeah, now you can have all of your files. You can link them to folders. You can open up the folder, and you'll see all of the files inside. And if you're a little bit extra, what you can do is you can add a formula, which will be called amount. And inside of this formula, we're basically going to calculate how many files is inside of this folder so that you can show it on the folder view. So what you want to do is use a let's function. Let's just shift enter, this closing bracket to the end. And then this variable is going to be total files, and then just add a comma, and then that variable itself. So we're going to use a map function, which allows us to go into a related database, which will be files. And then we're just going to add a comma and then current, because we want to use the information from this database. And then at the end, we're going to add a length function so that it gives us an actual number. So if we just select the variable, then you'll see it shows the number 3, because there's 3 database entries related to this one. But what we want is to also show files. So if it's 1, it should show 1 file. If it's multiple, it should show files. So we're going to add the text in as well. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to say if the total files is 1, then show the total files, but format it so that it's a text property, so that we can add text, because you can't have numbers and then text, it needs to be the same. So instead of the number 3, it's now the text 3, and then also just add a plus, and then inside of quotation marks add a space, and then file, like that, and then a comma, because if it's not this, so if the total files is 1, then show the number with the word file. Otherwise, if it's not that, meaning it's more than 1, then show files, like that. And then we're just also going to add a bracket. And if we click on done, you'll see it now shows the amount of files. If I remove them until it is 1, then it will just show 1 file. And if I remove all of them, it will show 0 files. So yeah, that's a way to essentially just show everything. I'm just going to put these inside of this again. And then here, I'm going to go inside of properties and then just show the amount property. And now you'll be able to see how many files is inside of this folder. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. So here you can click inside of the folder, and then you can click inside of a file, and then inside of the file, you can then have whatever information you want to show here. And you can also just hide everything that is not relevant, like the move one, the steps, actionable, like all of these information, because you wouldn't like add them on this view. So you can essentially just hide everything to make everything easier. So let's just go ahead and hide this. So I'm literally just gonna hide everything, and this will also look a lot cleaner. You can also reorder them, drag them around, and yeah, on the actual views it will show all the information that you need. But on this one, it's not relevant, so let's just hide all of them. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the references. And then lastly, we have trash. So let's go back to our main view, copy this inbox. So let's just copy this, go to trash, and then here we're gonna call this recycle bin, and then just paste in the database, and then just highlight this, make it bold, underline it, change the text color to brown, and then also give it an icon. So I'm gonna give it this trash icon, and then here you want to filter this to where the non-actionables relation is trash. And then we're also going to hide this property. We're going to add a created time property, which will automatically add in the date and time. We're going to make the move property show on this view. We're also going to show the checkbox property, and then also just filter this view to where the checkbox is unchecked. So let's just go ahead and uncheck this one. And yeah, now you'll be able to see all of the trash, and you can essentially just mark this checkbox as complete, or you can just delete them. And what you can also do is let's just duplicate this and then go to layout, change this to a list view. And then here we're going to group this according to the created time property. So here on this view, it will show all of the database entries and today's date and time. And then on this view, which we can rename to monthly, and we can also go here and just give it a calendar icon, and we can go to group and then sort it according to the month, like that. So here it will show per month all of the different trash items, and you can also group this, and inside of the group you also just want to change the sort to the newest first, so the newest items will show up first. You also want to sort this according to the created time where it is descending. And yeah, now you'll be able to have a recycle bin and see all of the items, and you can obviously delete this to just get rid of everything. And obviously you can change these views and add and remove things as you want. This is sort of just the default wireframe of the system. And if you want to see how to integrate the system with the LifeOS dashboard and the life management system that you're already using, then be sure to watch the video that's on the screen now, as I show you how to practically integrate this GTD system into your LifeOS dashboard. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.